Oh, hello. I'm a dork. Basically, it's been a bit, huh? Well, I can explain. I can explain. It's pretty boringly simple answer, really. I was thinking about doing Wilder Myth, but for a second video, but I was just like, nah. Instead, I thought maybe I should do something related to Dark Souls since I've been playing a lot of that. Nah, I think I spent the next 6 or 7 days just trying to think of what exact kind of video I wanted to make, but I didn't get nowhere for a while. In fact, I only just got somewhere today, and boy, did it take a while. Oh my god. In the end, I decided to talk instead about Dark Souls. To me, it sounds something obvious. To me, it's something that sounds obvious. But the more I think about it, the more I realize that the only people it really sounds obvious to are to gamers who then try to become developers. It only really sounds truly obvious to people like that, to people like myself who are gamers who are wanting to and even thinking about getting into the video game development scene, specifically, especially the indie side of it. It's something that for big companies, it sounds not as important. It's to the smaller, not necessarily only the indie companies, but it sounds, what's the right word for this? Oh, yes, important primarily to the smaller and smaller developers. In fact, I don't feel like it's really all that much of a stretch to say that tons of big name companies don't even give a crap about it anymore. And it's kind of sad because for video games, it's something that helps not just with the flow of your game, but the flow of so many different aspects. Oh my god. It's ridiculous the number of companies that would actually and almost even limitlessly benefit from utilizing this method far more aggressively than they do. Playtesting. Now, playtesting for those who don't know, playtesting is kind of like video game development equivalency of creating a rough draft of something and then testing that rough draft out. It is something that can actually help a ton, especially the more you do it. In fact, the more you do it earlier you do it, the more you benefit from it. Because it's going to help with not just the flow of animations, it's going to help flow combat, help flow this, help with flow that, help flow with that, help flow with that. Oh my god. The number of things that can benefit from doing this ASAP is crazy. To a point of where it kind of makes you stop and wonder why aren't more big name companies leaning into this more and more. But the problem is, though, is that the answer isn't exactly doing it. By doing so, you have to now enhance the amount of money you're paying for manpower, the more you're paying for overall time as well. So, for big name companies, business wise, it makes sense to not lean into it too hard from their perspective. But to the other half, though, it's obvious why it's needed. It's obvious why you should do it a ton. It's obvious why you should be doing it as early as you can. Because of how much it helps you in the actual game development process from too many different areas. I think the only area off the top of my head where it doesn't help as much, but still helps, is dialogue. Talking. I mean, it's kind of hard to get in voice actors way early when you're in before you've even written down a line of code, which is kind of when you should be playtesting. Before you even have code written down. If you're someone who does a game that doesn't have voice acting, but has tons of story bits, oh my god, you should be playtesting long before you've written down your code at all. You should be playtesting your very script the moment you have it written. Now, for me, the game I'm working on that I'm going to be working on is arguably stupid. I'm jumping into a giant project by myself. Don't ever do what I do because it's not recommended by anyone, much less the sane or wise. But I'm insane and not wise. So I'm going to do. Don't do what I do ever, please, please. If you take anything from this video, uh, you should be taking first. Never do what King does because it's dumb as hell and completely retardedly moronic to unheard of levels. Never do what King do. If you try and do what King do, hope you have a friend who's kind enough to smack the crap out of you until you wise up. Oof. When it comes down to it, though, I'm already playtesting and I have no code written down. I don't even have the actual script for it fully written down either. I don't have an ounce of dialogue written down yet. I have notes on what the ideas, the plans, and kind of the stuff that doesn't actually contribute to making the game yet, basically. I have the ideas, the theories, I have some mechanics written down, and that's it. That's pretty much it. I have the general flow of events, but once again, that's it. That's all I've got, and I'm already playtesting it. I'm playtesting it a lot, in fact. A lot. So much playtesting of it. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to playtesting, there's a lot of ways you can do it. And if your game's focused on dialogue or story writing, it's kind of like working on a rough draft, but now you're actually testing it out by not just writing it, you're now also speaking it. So you're now intentionally like talking it out to ensure that it flows right, not just in your head, but when other people hear it and have to then process it in their head. That's kind of the perfect way to put it. Is for Storybased, you're writing it down, kind of like you would a rough draft, but unlike some rough drafts where you just kind of tuck it away and you rework on it by yourself, you're now instead bringing it up to anyone who will listen to you talk. You're then speaking out it, and you're talking to them, and you're actually yakking their ear off intentionally. And you're seeing how their expressions go, how they're reacting to it, and you're kind of getting their feedback. And you still don't finalize then. And then you just work on rough draft part 2. Eventually, X number of rough drafts later, you'll finally then start to work on the final draft. Then you'll start to code. That's the thing, is that when it comes down to it, playtesting, you got to think of it as like you are tampering with a rough draft before you actually work on a rough draft. It's the rough draft to the rough draft, which is not a small way to put it. Yes, it does add plenty of extra time it takes you to get to those next parts, but it is so beneficial to do it. In fact, it's actually already helped me a bit, and I haven't done any coding yet. I haven't even done any dialogue writing yet, and it's already helped me to playtest what I have gotten written down so far. And get feedback. Okay, let me just put it to you mildly. Feedback is as useful as the playtesting. Get it often and get it as early as you can. The earlier you get all this, the better. The more you're doing it and the earlier, even better still. Go do both. Get feedback. Get what you can off. Kind of try and get people's reactions, the way they react to certain bits in your story, or the certain way that they view this overall idea of how you want these things to play out in the story itself. If that means having to have them sign crap, then fine, do what you got to do. But try to make sure that if you have to, at gunpoint, choose one of them, definitely take the playtesting, because that's something you can do for too many things in too many ways and helps way too much, way too often. Laughably, this is probably going to be a short video to some, and thankfully it's one of the few videos where I didn't screw anything up, so I don't have to do any editing, which is a bloody effing miracle somehow. When it comes down to it, the two things if you're going to take both the two intended things from this video, please do, which is don't do what King do, and also playtest ASAP and as often as you can. The sooner and more often, the better. You'll benefit in the long run from doing it like that. A lot more than, well, the opposite. Ugh. I hope you either found this interesting for whatever reason have you. I hope you laughed at me, laughed with me, maybe crack some jokes at my own stupidity and idiocy. Because let's be honest, I probably already beat you to some jokes because I've already been making fun of myself for the past 8 days. Sorry, hold up, probably 10 days I think now. Hold on. You know, I'll check it later. Let's assume as long as it has been since the last video. And I will continue to make fun of myself till I'm blue in the face. More literal than the lighting makes it out to be. um, I hope you will come back for the next one. I have no clue what I'm going to make for that video yet. Probably going to be another discussion video. Whoever could have guessed. Oh, wait. Everyone could have guessed that. I hope to see you all next time. See ya.